Welcome to the garden. Get cozy, put your feet up because this is going to be a pretty intimate episode. Recently, life has been lifing a little too hard. And there's been amazing things happening in between, but it's truly felt like a roller coaster. You have these incredible moments, these glimmers that I've been working to be way more present in, because then we're like, boom, crash. We are going down 100 miles an hour and we're going to hit the bottom. And it's been tumultuous, to say the least. Earlier this summer, really kind of starting in the spring around April, I've been dealing with a lot in the background of life. I know a lot of us have. I mean, everything is, just to breathe costs like $250 lately. So this podcast episode is probably going to cost like $10,000. Sorry, terrible joke. Okay, so life has been a little lifey. And earlier this spring, I really started to hit my wall. And I realized that I was not doing okay. I didn't have the tools to be okay. And it was causing such a ripple effect in every aspect of my life. I mean, truly, when you do not feel good inside, it really radiates outside. And I was, a lot of stress eating. I was lashing out at people. I was smoking a ton of weed. And I just wasn't really, I wasn't present. I was like disassociating a lot. And I know a lot of people joke about that, and there's so many memes, but it really is this defense mechanism that you back into because that's what you did when you were a child or something. And so I have known for a while that I need a therapist for multiple reasons, to go through everything from childhood trauma to work PTSD to just simply finding better clarity in my life and a deeper relationship with myself, while also managing symptoms of ADHD and other mental health stuff to explore, and my physical health and how that affects me mentally. So I literally reached out to tons of therapists. This has taken such a long time. And so, when I decided, okay, I need a therapist, I really need help outside myself and outside my friend group, because that would be the thing too. I would, go to my friends and just trauma dump. And I understand there's certain levels of friendship and, trust that you have with each other. And it's not to say don't share what you're going through, but not everyone needs the chaotic hurricane of biz to run through their life, dump everything that's going wrong, and then run away in another whirlwind of chaos. And so I really was becoming so self-aware of that and how I felt and how that was affecting other people in my life that I really care about. And I didn't want to be that way. I didn't want people to then just constantly feel wrapped up in this energy of me and everything that was going on. So I started the process looking for a therapist, and it is so hard. If you are going through the process of deciding if you need a therapist or looking for one, I really, really commiserate with you. It is so, so difficult. I reached out to probably 15 people and I got one response back. Luckily, this person has been incredible. We had a discovery call and I just word vomited all of everything that was going wrong in my life to her. I was like, I have this going on in my family and this going on at work and this happening over here and then also this and that and the other. And at the end, she goes, okay, I hear you. That sounds like a lot to deal with. And I think I can help you pick it apart and move through it. And I just started sobbing, which wasn't new because I have basically been crying like every day, multiple times a day for, a few months, especially in the middle of the summer. And I just felt this huge weight off my shoulders, even before our first session. And so now I am a few sessions deep. It's been incredible for my headspace. I really cannot stress how much I'm realizing that I was in a horrible place. And if you follow me at all on Instagram, ever since like 2020, I've been really talking about like survivor mode and my health issues and everything that's been going on. I probably overshare. Hello, that's why you have a podcast. But, I know I'm not alone in this. And I think so many people still feel stigma around looking for a therapist. They still feel, a bit of shame or embarrassment around it, which please don't. I think we should all be assigned a therapist at birth. I mean, it is just so critical, especially I'm realizing that I am a verbal processor. Shocker, I know, but it really helps me to write it out. I journal a lot and then verbally process it. But to then go to my boyfriend, my best friend, my mom, and just constantly break down, that's not a healthy way to do that, especially constantly. And it doesn't really process, it just shifts the energy to someone else. I'm like, it's like exploding in me. I'm like, I feel so horrible. I have to just get it out of me, like, a sickness. And that's really how it is. And so I wanted to be more mindful, especially in my relationships and how I have a relationship with myself. And through just going back to therapy, because I've also been in therapy before. When I was a kid, I was in therapy. My parents are very super divorced, and it was court appointed. But thank God it was, because I did learn a lot of great tools through that, and at a really young age. So then I also went back to a therapist when I was in college, and I was being diagnosed with ADHD, but I was also working to figure out what was going on just with my body in general. I hadn't been actually diagnosed with endometriosis yet. And so that just took a toll on my whole body, both mentally and physically. And I didn't know what was going on. They put me on Wellbutrin. That was a mess for me personally. And I've never been on anything like that ever since. But to each their own. I've heard it works miracles for some people. So just because it didn't work for me, doesn't mean it wouldn't work for you. But I do have a history in going to therapy. So it's been nice in a bunch of ways. First off, just to have a safe space to be able to talk about all my feelings, all the things that are happening in my life. And so many times that I say these things out loud, I'm like, oh my God, you're so silly. This isn't even something that's a real worry or anxiety. But having a neutral party to talk to and say these things out loud and be just fully honest with yourself and someone else, it's so powerful. It truly is. And that is truly processing it instead of just the release, the floodgates of energy of like, ah! Because that's how I've been feeling. And I've also been working a lot in my journal on drawing how I'm feeling. And so I'll go in and show her this like giant scribble. And I'm like, this is how I feel today. And then I'm like, but this is how I want to feel. And it'll just be like, nice tempo waves of flow. And that's where I would rather be mentally. And so I show her kind of different ways and things I want to work on. And it's been so helpful to me. And I really want to be open and raw and share this side of myself because it takes a lot of energy, and it was so hard to find a therapist. It really can be, it really can be a process, especially because if the first one you go to doesn't work, you're going to have to find another one. And like I said, I only had one person get back to me, and there aren't a lot of people in network. There aren't a lot of people with availability. There were a ton of people with wait lists that I'm still on. And it's tough. It's really tough out there. And there just isn't a lot of people with availability. There isn't a lot of availability, period, of therapists. And I've been learning all these different rules about like how different therapists can practice. I did try BetterHelp at one point, and I really did not love the virtual interaction. I do go virtual when I'm traveling, but I love that I can go in person again. I'm always on my phone. I'm always on my laptop for work, for content, for the podcast. And just having the in-person experience, I can put away my electronics because that's a part of also why I'm there. I want, better boundaries with my devices. And so if I'm just on my device within the ecosystem in which I work, in which I play, it doesn't feel like a safe space necessarily. And so if you are looking for a therapist, here is my best advice, at least so far. And I'll most likely do a recap episode a few months down the road just to let you know like where I am and do a little checkup. So I have a few points of advice. First off, truly decide that this is something you want to do, to dedicate time to, and that you're going to be completely open and honest with yourself in this phase of growth, because therapy is not always fun. I don't get super high beforehand because the few times I have, I've felt very uncomfortable. I haven't felt present, and I think that it's something I would rather do afterwards. So it really is just having this honesty with yourself and diving into things you maybe aren't ready for or not ready for yet, at least, and they can help you get there. But if you're not prepared to have that open and honest interaction with yourself guided by someone else, and you're not ready to face those demons, then it might not be right for you yet. This truly is something that you have to be ready for and dedicate a lot of time and energy toward. And it can be fun later because you get this amazing outcome and you start to really just like unlock these, parts of yourself that needed to be healed. And healing isn't always linear, and it isn't always a feel-good butterfly face mask kind of deal. So please make sure you're ready. Next, go to a few different websites. I'll list them below. I think one is like Psych Today, and I just put in all my different parameters, and that gave me the list of people to choose from and reach out to. And so I just literally went down that list, found the people that I liked from the descriptions, and sent an email to all of them. Something I also did was type out all the stuff that I was thinking and why I wanted to go to a therapist. And I just copied and pasted it to just make it fast and got all of that outreach out. Now, as soon as someone emails you back, take the first time that they can talk. Any level of availability, you want to move on it because it goes so quickly. Now, once you have contacted someone, they've gotten back to you, next will be the discovery call. As I mentioned, journal a lot. I heavily recommend having a journal at least for therapy if you don't have one yet. It just helps you write down all your thoughts, put something also elsewhere that you can physically put away so it doesn't weigh on your mind. And it also can be just a point of reference if you get nervous or lost in the appointment, and you can look back and say, oh yeah, this is something I wanted to address. So I had everything listed out already to talk to her about and say, hey, like, these are the things I'm really here to work on. Because again, there has to be so much intention in this. Now, if you're totally lost and you're like, I do need a therapist, I just don't know really totally why, but you are willing to work on it, I do think that it could be right for you. Do the discovery calls, see who might be a good fit. Now, in the first appointment, like if you are a connoisseur, I heavily recommend to not smoke before. Like I said, it's just something that did not make me comfortable, and I would love to just have a more clear and present mind through this process, and I'm happy to sesh after, but this was also a piece of advice I got from a friend, and I was like, oh, like I used to go blasted this therapy, like this will be fine. But you know, I'm older, I've changed, I'm growing, my body has changed, and my mind has changed, and so it's just not the same. And so for me personally, that's just what's been working and what I would recommend. Then also really think about, does this person work for me? Is this someone who can help me with the challenges I'm preparing to face? Is this someone that I want in this battle with me? Because you are battling for you. This is a war, baby. No, not really. We're getting a little dramatic, but maybe it is. I don't know. I felt a little bit like I was battling for myself there, and I wanted a really good knight. I needed a great warrior with an awesome sword to come in and pick apart and say, hey, like, let's explore this. Or, you know, I want you to think about it this way and ask yourself this question, because it totally shifts my perspective. And I have some really unfortunate news. Shifting your mindset and doing the work works. Who would have thought? It actually helps your attitude adjustment and makes life more pleasurable for you and for anyone involved in your life. I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but fixing your mindset and your attitude actually work. Go figure. And that's what I'm really working on. So while you're in these appointments, make sure that this is the person that can help you toward your goals, and be really strict about it. Write down what you want to see from a therapist, and do they meet that? And again, I know it's tough to then go back into the process, but it's so important that you have a good fit, because this is someone you're going to want to be honest with. You're going to want to share deep, intimate details with, to be able to really get to the source of what's happening and start working out those knots. It's like a back rub for your soul. You're really working out the knots. And so I heavily recommend therapy to anyone who's struggling, anyone who's looking for help, even if you are looking to just start online with BetterHelp or something of the sort. I totally think it's a great first step, especially if you have any anxiety or you're, you know, still a little skeptical of those one-on-one in-person appointments. It's a great alternative to at least get your feet wet, and then you can decide from there how you want to proceed. It's a journey. You're never going to hit the end destination. You know, it will get to a point that maybe you have, you know, an appointment once a month, not every week, or every 3 months, or a yearly check-in. And then if something is happening or popping off, you can always go back. Again, healing is not linear. And that's something I really have to say out loud to me, like Elizabeth, full first name. You have to know that healing is not linear. And I like literally want to cry right now, but this has just been such a powerful journey that I really needed. And if you have been thinking about it and you think you need it too, don't feel embarrassed. Go for it. It's such a huge step to take, and I am supporting you the whole way through. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I absolutely did not address everything in this podcast, but it's just a little bit of where I'm at in life. And I do want to talk more about what's going on behind the scenes, but truly it's just not my story to tell. But it has impacted me so greatly. And I've also just been dealing with a lot of other stuff too, life shifts and my body and my health and clarity as to where I'm going in life. And so working through that, having the right person to do it with, I hope you all have that experience at some point, and I wish you love and warmth and support on your own healing journey. So thanks for hanging out. I know this episode was a little bit different, but I really want to share a little bit more of my own journey and what I can where it's appropriate. And I'm hoping that this helps someone out there that is looking to start therapy or restart and doesn't know the first step. So much love to you all. I'm sending you all flowers. Oh my gosh, like bouquets and bouquets of flowers. Have a beautiful rest of your week, and I will see you next time on Send Us Flowers.